me start recording. Okay, sorry, I had forgotten. Now we are recording. So part 2, guys, again, it's vocabulary. All of this is use of English, Constanza. But as you can see, use of English for Cambridge is vocabulary. Part 3, again, this part is crucial. Okay, I believe here, because I was timing you without telling you, here we took a long time. Okay, because, well, even though it gives you the word, not as task 2, it gives you the word you have to use in each line. So you don't have to decide where it matches. No, it's on the line. This deals with word formation. Okay, so you won't use the word come exactly. You can use a suffix, you can use a prefix, you can use, this is a verb, maybe you have to transform it into an adverb or into a noun. So today we're going to cover that part. And I also have material directly from Cambridge on word formation that I'm going to share with you, okay? Because as you can see, we are on the part 3 and it's just vocabulary, vocabulary, vocabulary. Here, okay, part 4, again, it's vocabulary. In all of these parts, the grammar is camouflage because whether you want it or not, check before number 17, it says can be. So this is going to tell you or give you a little reference on what word you use, okay? Also here, before 20, if you have more, you don't have much. So you know it's probably countable, etc. Okay, these are tips. This is why it does cover grammar, but it's camouflage. You don't see it, but it's there. Here it's the same. It's vocabulary and grammar together because now it's not just a single word. You have to write 3 or up, well, from 3 to 6 words, okay? What happens here? For example, the first answer, the example 0, insisted on speaking. Why ing? Because you have a preposition. This is what I mean. It's vocabulary, but with grammar camouflage. We continue on that part. And then we got to this part. This part 5, 6, and 7 took a lot of time. So I would like you to share your insights with me on this part. What was the difficulty here? Apart from vocabulary in the previous one, what was the difficulty in section 5? Anyone would like to share?
Yes, Jeremy.
Please.
Alma. Well, in my case, it was difficult because of comprehension. I mean, it is too much information and you have the pressure of time. And sometimes, again, I go back to the same thing, vocabulary. Sometimes it could be very confusing because if you don't understand very well some of the words, no, in my case, I have to read again, no, and understand by context if some words are not clear for me. So that is why I need more time. But I know that in the exam, well, you have a limit of time, no? So, well, I don't know if some of you have the experience to make another Cambridge exam. I made the FCE some years ago, and it is very similar of, well, I'm talking about the format because the level, of course, it's totally different. But I don't know if you had the opportunity, all of you, to start practicing with the LMS platform, because you can find exercises, very similar exercises that could help you to improve vocabulary and use of English. The only thing is that you need time to do it. I mean, in my opinion, it's not enough with the time we have only on Saturdays. We need to invest a little more time during the week for study. No, this is very important. I am saying this to do it myself, no? Because with this exam, with this, this exam that we had last Saturday, I noticed that I need to invest a little more time to study and to practice. And in the LMS platform, you can find very nice exercises to improve. No, I already have a big list of new vocabulary and new structures that I didn't know, because I am really aware that I was B2. I am not C1, not yet. No, so I need to study a lot in order to do these kind of exams in time and well, better, no, because yeah, it was difficult for me. It was really difficult.
Exactly. Now, it's what you mentioned. It's very important. Okay, I know you're teachers. That means you work a lot of extra hours that you're not even paid for. I understand, totally, believe me. But I have to tell you this, because my goal and my objective is that you pass this exam satisfactory. If this were a B1 or a B2 exam, you would not be so pressured. But you have to take into consideration that it's a C1. And since it is a C1, the hours, exactly as Alma said, the hours you have on Saturday won't be enough. Now, also remember, the platform, the LMS, comes directly from Cambridge. We're taking the mock exams and we're taking the previous activities on exams to prepare you, but not many people do it. So remember, for you to take this course completely, you need to take the sessions on Saturday plus what you have there on the LMS. If not, let's put it this way, it's like you're taking half the course, okay? Because we have to give you the grammar and the structure, and then you go ahead and practice it, okay? I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because it's important that you dedicate some extra time. One of the advantages of the Cambridge LMS is that you have it open 24/7. It's not that if you log in at 9 p.m., you won't do it. Believe me, this is just a couple of months, but the satisfaction, it's forever, because this exam doesn't expire. I remember when I was taking my ISELT preparation, the ISELT is harder than the TKT. It lasts 9 months. And they give you the equivalent for licenciatura in Mexico in those 9 months. So it is very demanding. Believe me, I had an American person, American was her nationality, and one Canadian in the group. I was living in Aguascalientes at the moment. And they were taking the test. Everybody thought these women study in university there, they're going to pass like this. They failed. Why? The teacher told us the first session, and this is a teacher called Ana Rosa Vargas. I really admire her. I've been with her hand by hand with Cambridge. She's my mentor personally. And every course she gives me, then she got me a job at Cambridge, etc. So she's even written books. She told us at the beginning of the course, are you married? Do you have a relationship, a commitment? And we were like, wow, that's a lot of personal information. So she told us, okay, if you do, after this session, talk to your spouse or talk to your boyfriend, girlfriend, etc., and tell them either you take a break for 9 months, or tell them you have to go out less, you have to, drink less, you have to do this less, because you really need to concentrate. I'm going to give you this course, but you have to read these 35 books and you have to do these other 400 hours of self-study. And we were like, wow. But guess what? The people who did were the ones who passed. And the people who thought, well, I graduated from an American college, didn't. So it's very important how much time you dedicate to this. Cambridge is demanding, but I guarantee if you do it, you're going to pass, no problem. Okay, but you have to dedicate more hours. I know you're incredibly busy, but At least if you're not commuting now, try to use those minutes, at least for this part. Now, if you go to the Cambridge website, they also give you tips on reading. And I like one very much that says, nothing prepares you for the reading test. Okay, again, nothing prepares you for the reading test better than reading. Read a lot. Candidates who often read in English, not in Spanish, in English, for work or for fun, find this part of the test manageable, while those who never read tend to find it very hard. Okay, so this is another tip. You have to start reading in English. I'm not telling you to read grammar books. I already recommended graded books, etc., but try to read in English, because the brain, guys, is a muscle. And even in our own language, if we never read in Spanish, and sometimes you have to read, we don't follow punctuation, it's hard, we don't understand meaning at first time. Imagine on a second language, it's not your fault. It's just a matter of, as a culture, and I'm talking about all the country, we don't have the habit of reading. We don't. So you have to build this month, this habit, okay? Letty, I see you're raising your hand.
Yeah, but about this part, I think it was difficult for most of us. But I think it's not, but yeah, it's about the level, but I think it's, in my case, I would like to see during the course more strategies to pass this kind of test, because well, I think reading for the general idea and reading for the basic skills, everyone have these skills, right? But for CAE, I think we need other kind of skills in order to avoid spend time, unnecessary time, and because these exams are, how can I say, are made in that way, right? To test if you can use these techniques. It's not too much about the knowledge you have, but if you can use techniques, because usually these tests are used to test university students. So when you are a university student, you don't have too much time, right? So I would like to see more or learn more about reading skills for this level. Yeah, skills.
Yes, we will cover some reading techniques, but to be honest, they are universal. We're going to cover reading for gist, we're going to cover skimming, we're going to cover scanning, but the first part of the course was aimed at the grammar, but we're going to cover those starting these sessions because it's very important. However, you mentioned you have seen some. There are no more reading techniques, but we're going to see how we can apply them here. What I also believe, and maybe you agree with me, is these readings are not about a person going on holiday. These readings are not about everyday, the life of everyday life, or the life of a person. These readings are, just as like these readings are academic. So sometimes also the way they're written and the vocabulary implied, it's hard. So I need you to start reading. I'm going to start sharing with you, if you don't have books, at least passages so that you read, okay? Because you need to get used to heavier grammar in reading and heavier vocabulary, more advanced, okay? Daniel, you were saying something?
Yeah, I heard that many of my classmates are saying that they have problems with the vocabulary, even me. So I have a suggestion, kind of a recommendation for all of them. I downloaded an app on my cell phone, which is called TOEFL Vocabulary. I know it says TOEFL, but I think it's good for everyone if we learn a few words a day. And you can choose your the daily amount of words you want to learn every day. And in my case, I choose 15. I paid only 70 Mexican pesos for the application, but I can use it anytime, anywhere with no internet connection. And it's very funny because you practice your memorize, you practice your writing, you write the words in the application, and it usually reminds you the words you previously saw in order to make it, in order to you achieve to memorize the words you need. I use it if you want them. If you want it, it's TOEFL vocabulary. You can find it on the Play Store.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Thank
the
you.
name of
Daniel.
the
Yeah,
app.
any vocabulary building app, it's going to help. Plus, today I'm going to share with you the link for some lists you can print. They come directly from Cambridge, from the part building of vocabulary, which covers part 1, 2, and 3, and 4 of the exam. Okay. Now, this is part 6. I believe it's the same issues we mentioned, the reading, the vocabulary, the time. Part 7, exactly the same. Part 8, same thing, right? Do we agree? All of these parts? The problem is we were reading again and again and difficult words. Or do you have any other comment on these parts? No, same thing, because it's reading.
The same is, as Lady says, we maybe need more strategies to know, because I understand we should get more vocabulary, and I understand also that we have to read, but I think it's going to be a bit difficult to get all the vocabulary in just a few months.
I know, yes.
Just because I think most of us want to play the exam on this year, no?
Mhm.
No, I've been practicing. I'm studying the book you sent us. I have others, but it's not enough time to get all of them solved. No, so it could be better if I get some strategies. Maybe not the real. How can I say? I know that vocabulary changes exam by exam. It's totally sure, but maybe to give us some strategies, or say those vocabulary really you have to learn by heart. Maybe things like that. I don't know if you understand.
We're going to cover that today, okay? Vocabulary we covered today. That's why I didn't want to continue with the exam, the other parts. I wanted to focus on this because they are still fresh. You still have like, okay, like Armando said, I think I did bad on this one, you remember, okay? So today we cover vocabulary, and you will have a lot of vocabulary directly from Cambridge CAE to prepare yourself, okay? And next Saturday, we're going to cover, because the speaking part and the listening is fast, we're going to cover reading techniques too. So try not to miss next Saturday, okay? Somebody raise hand, Letty?
Yeah, it was it, but yeah, as you mentioned, for example, in this part, in my case, was the best part for me.
For 8.
Yeah, because I already learned some strategies. I remember in another course, for example, usually you need to look for some keywords.
Keywords.
And you can label each paragraph just to remember, like skim very quickly, and to remember what it's about. Just maybe say good, but few words, label. And
exactly.
then match. Something like that.
That's another thing. The day of the exam, you can underline or circle words, okay? As long as you don't write that on your answer sheet, but yes, you can keep, so that you keep words in mind, okay? But we will read and practice those techniques about skinning, scamming, reading for gist, and also keywords on the question, keywords on the paragraph, right?
I have a couple of books about that. So can I share it on
share them?
the,
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, during the course, because I don't have right now.
Okay, yes. And about the writing, I only received Beres, someone else. I received someone else's, yes, the day before yesterday.
Constanza.
Constanza, yes, I received yours. And some minutes ago, I received Letty's, right? I don't have any others. So.
Yes, sorry, I've been out from home these 2 weeks.
Don't
And it's hard for me because my father-in-law had a surgery. He's okay, but we are taking care for him
Mhm. Taking
and
care of.
of him. Sorry, thank you. And I've been doing my best to attend my classes. So it's hard for me to send. It was hard for me to send the writings, but this week I'll send it. For sure.
Okay, perfect.
Miss, I sent mine on Saturday last week. I
The same
remember.
Saturday? Oh, maybe that's
Yeah,
why.
but I sent you to your personal WhatsApp. Or did you want it by email?
No, WhatsApp. So you
Okay.
finish on Saturday. This is why.
Yeah, but in the night. In the night.
Okay, probably that's why. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
To send you the feedback. All right, excellent. And okay, the writing we know. So part of the test analysis and the areas to reinforce was vocabulary building a lot. So we will do this today. Reading comprehension, we will do next week, okay? And writing comes together because the more vocabulary you have and the more you read, the better you write, okay? The people who read alone in Spanish have better vocabulary and they express themselves in a different way, okay? So we will continue practicing writing, but I know the moment you enhance vocabulary, that is going to be directly affected too. Okay, so here, about the writing part, this is what I wanted to share with you, okay? These are pictures of papers we get as examiners, not you as students, okay? So about the writing, just general information. If you want, you can take picture. These are, let's say, the types we have and what it is expected for the preparation, okay? So I'm going to read the task type and I'm going to ask one of you to read what's the preparation expected from you, okay? All right, it says an essay in the C1 advanced writing paper is usually written for an academic tutor and may be written as a follow-up to a class activity, such as attending a seminar or watching a documentary. The main purpose of the task is to underline relevant salient issues on the stated topic and to support an argument with subsidiary points and reasons. An essay should be well organized. Okay, this is what gives you a good score. Well organized, with an introduction, clear development, and an appropriate conclusion. It should hold the target reader's attention and communicate complex ideas using an appropriate range of vocabulary and structures. Pretty much in these final lines is the difference between B1 and C2. Hold the target reader's attention and communicate complex ideas using an appropriate range of vocabulary and structures. If everything's okay, but the person checking your exam believes the ideas are not complex enough, you get a B2 instead of a C1. Okay, so the more complex, the more pompous you can sound, the better when it comes to vocabulary and structures. Preparation. Areli, can you please read the preparation part?
Yes. Preparation. Essays needs to present an argument and give reasons for this. Your students need to be taught to give opinion and to agree or disagree in a formal or neutral register. They should be advised that they are free to agree or disagree with the opinions given in the task or discuss both sides. Effective planning and paragraphing is important in essay writing, as is the appropriate use of linking words and phrases. Students also need practice in writing appropriate opening and concluding paragraphs.
Excellent. So here it tells you on an essay, believe me, this is an important point. You should either agree or disagree. If you're in the middle, it doesn't work. Agree or disagree with the opinions, discuss both sides, but show that you either agree or disagree, even though you're discussing both sides. Paragraphing is important. Sometimes in the ones we've been practicing, I don't see any paragraphs. It's all in one or only 2 paragraphs. but paragraphing is important, okay? The appropriate use of linking words and phrases, that comes with vocabulary too. Instead of but, also, but, also, but, also. What are other words we can use?
Teacher,
Yes?
when we, well, as we write, when we divide the ideas, there is a suggestion to divide 2 or 3 ideas in a same paragraph or just one by one?
Yes, I'm going to get there. I'm going to give you a guide on paragraphing too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Paragraphing, and I'm also going to cover punctuation because in the ones I've seen, I see a lot of lack of commas and periods sometimes. We call this a run-on sentence, and it's given a bad mark when you don't have air anymore because there's no punctuation, okay? All right, this is when it comes to the essay. There's another type, letter or email. Okay, letter or an email is written in response to the situation outlined in the task. Letters, emails in the C1 advanced writing paper will require a response which is consistently appropriate for the specific target reader. Candidates can expect to be asked to write, these are tips for you, okay? For the editor of a newspaper or magazine, to the director of a company, to a school or college principal, or to a peer. Letters, emails will not be limited to a narrative element, but will also require candidates to carry out other functions. For example, to reassure somebody, to correct a misunderstanding, or to justify a course of action. Daniel, please read the preparation for letter and email.
Of course, letter emails may include a narrative element which details personal experience, for example, to a newspaper or magazine. Other may be more concerned with giving factual information. When a response is framed as an email, letter writing conventions such as opening salutations, clear paragraphing, and closing phrasing are always important.
Excellent. Okay, so remember there are different layouts. We covered this during the first session. Layout for a letter, we already learned that. Layout for an email. This we covered already. This is telling you, remember the conventions of an email or letter. What are the parts? What's the position of those parts? It's important, okay? And it's telling you that even though it's a letter or an email, it should not be just narrative or less formal, not in this level, okay? Third type, a proposal. A proposal may be written for a peer group, such as colleagues or club members, or for a supervisor, such as a boss or a college principal. Candidates will be expected to make one or more suggestions, supported by factual information and evaluation, in order to persuade the reader of course of action. Students should work on functional language for evaluating and making suggestions, and will need to be able to use a range of persuasive language. Here, you have to use a lot what we have covered in proposals, because you don't want the suggestions to sound as something mandatory, aggressive, or instructions or orders. Okay, you have to use hedged language. You have to use, what's the other word? We just covered that. How to be diplomatic, okay? Because you're evaluating. When you evaluate, you may come as harsh, and we don't want that, okay? Language to make suggestions, language for evaluating, language to give opinion and suggestions. We have already covered that, okay? So practice and check your notes for hedging and for being diplomatic. Letty, can you please read the preparation?
Yeah. Proposals are often structured in a similar way to reports and should be clear, organized under heading. Students should be taught how to make polite recommendations and suggestions and how to use a range of persuasive language.
Exactly. This we covered, okay? But if you want, we can review a little bit, but I trust you have all of your notes. This is for proposals. Other types, we have report. A report may be written for a superior, example, boss or college principal, or a peer group, club members or colleagues. The content of a report is to some extent factual and draws on the prompt material, but there will be scope for candidates to make use of their own ideas and experience. If you don't have experience, lie, make up the experience. This is well seen, okay? Because the reader believes you are connecting with the task. Candidates will be asked to do more than describe a situation. They may be asked to evaluate to what extent a particular aim has been achieved and to suggest an alternative course of action. Okay, Bere, please read the preparation.
Yes, Miss. Preparation of a report. Students need to be taught a report format with the use of headings where appropriate. They should also work on specific vocabulary areas such as transport, leisure, and entertainment, and learn how to make suggestions and recommendations.
Very good. Okay, here again, suggestions, recommendations. This report, actually we have practice in 2 writings, okay? You have practice making suggestions, making recommendations, and my advice for you was always after checking hedge language. Okay, remember I mentioned it looks like a command. You're not the boss of them to give them commands. You're just writing a report. So use hedged language and use diplomatic language. Okay, finally, we have a review. Okay, and then I'm going to show you what the students have written as example and how Cambridge evaluated them. So you can see what is really expected from you. A review may be about a book, magazine, film, play, or concert. It may also be about a product or service. A review in the C1 Advanced Writing paper does not merely ask for a general description of the thing reviewed, but requires an evaluation of its suitability for a particular purpose or audience. The target reader is specified in the task, and candidates should be encouraged to use this information when choosing appropriate ideas and language to include their responses. Constanza, please read the preparation.
Students should be encouraged to read as wide a range of reviews as possible, such as those for holidays, books, television programs, and consumer goods. They need to be taught to the use of appropriate adjectives and how to describe and explain. They also need to how to give an opinion, positive or negative, and make a recommendation.
Very good. Okay, so here, again, I understand that maybe you say, oh, I don't even know this product, but you have to pretend a little bit because you have to say why it suits a purpose or an audience. Again, this part, when you write a review, it's to give an opinion, whether it is positive or negative. Just again, if it's opinion, hedge language and diplomatic language. This is why I've been giving you these tips in the classes before, because it's what you need, all right? Okay, how does it look like? Remember the previous task we had for your exam? Do you remember? The writing? Okay, it was about
Before the exam?
In the exam we had last Saturday.
Okay.
That was a real previous exam, and this was a real question, sorry, a real answer the student gave, okay? You don't remember that part? Let me go back a little, hold on. This is before, this is the scale, what we check in our writing, okay? Because they send to us, or it depends. We are some people in Mexico approved to do this, like Ana Rosa, Angelina, what's her last name? Campos, it's approved too. I'm approved too. So sometimes they send us exams And we check based on this, okay? The highest you get in a mark is 5. So we check content, communicative achievement, how successful was your communication, how easy it was for me to read, or if I had to read and read again because I didn't understand your sense. This is why in your writing, sometimes I write sense. It means I find it hard to understand what you meant. Organization, punctuation, paragraphing, all of that, and language, the range of vocabulary you use. Is it enough for the checker to give you a C1, or should we give you a B2 level in vocabulary? Okay, this is what we check. The task was this. Your class has attended a panel discussion on facilities. We should receive more money from local authorities. You have made the notes below. You have which facilities should receive more money: museum, sports center, public gardens. And we had some opinions. So I'm going to share what these people wrote, the grade they get, and I'm going to share this of 3 participants, the last one being the highest level, okay? So hopefully you can see the differences. All right, Alma, please read the reading, and everybody please pay attention, because this is going to help you see what is expected from you in paragraphs, in vocabulary, etc. Okay, this one is not too high, but anyways, Alma, please.
Yes, nowadays, many facilities could use money from local authorities. There are people who claim that cultural institutions should receive more money than other facilities. But which ones should receive more investment is open to debate. On the one hand, museums should be the institutions that need to receive a lot of money because people have lost the interest in visiting and promoting them. In a word, where true values are not respected as they should be, it is important to remember what really matters. Moreover, the young men should be aware of the importance of knowing basic things in different domains. For example, science and history museums provide people very interesting information. Therefore, in order to have well-informed teenagers, the local authorities should give money to museums. With that money, it can be organized events like the Day of Open Museums. On the other hand, green spaces should also receive money from local authorities, mainly because in big cities where the air is very polluted, trees can absorb many of the gases produced, leading to a much healthier environment. Furthermore, there can be built spaces for kids to play and also running tracks for people who cannot afford to go to gym. It is important for people to keep doing exercises in open air, and in my opinion, parks are the best place. All in all, as far as I am concerned, the most important facility that should receive investment from local authority are the museums.
Excellent. Okay, please take a picture of this. We're going to need it for the analysis on the next slide. I also took my picture. Ready? This, if you saw mistakes and all, it's okay, because this is the real writing a student did in one of the CAE exams, okay?
Yeah, Miss, what was the punctuation of this student? Do you know that?
We will analyze everything.
Oh, okay.
Ready? Can I continue on the next slide?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. These are the marks the student got, okay? Content, he got 5, okay? He got the highest. Remember, the highest is 5 on each. It's incredibly difficult to get 5, okay? But the highest is 5. Content, all content is relevant to the task and the target reader is fully informed. The candidate discusses 2 of the proposed facilities, museums and parks, and chooses one of them, museums. This is correct. You need to choose to benefit from the extra funding. The candidate discusses the reasons why each one should receive money. This is also a good one. And we use a sentence the candidate wrote. Science and history museums provide people very interesting information. In order to have well-informed teenagers, the local authorities should give money to museums. Trees can absorb many of the gases, leading to a much healthier environment, running tracks for people who cannot afford to go to the gym. The final decision is made in the final paragraph. Remember, it's important you make a final decision. If not, you don't get 5 in content, okay? Now, this that I'm showing you out of the record, actually, this is what we do when we check exams. Don't think we only take the exam, we read and say 5. No, we have to justify Cambridge and the board why a 5 with a comment. So each time we evaluate, we have to write this of each exam, okay? And then the board takes it and they say, yeah, Nancy is right, they deserve a 5, or no, they deserve a 4. So it goes through a whole process, okay? Now, second subscale, communicative achievement. Well, before, what the person did well here, number 1, all the content is relevant. He didn't get distracted by any other things. I remember when I was a child, I was going to know, okay, all the content was relevant, okay? Also discuss the 2 proposed facilities, okay? And gave reasons, chose 1 in the final paragraph. This is why, okay? Next subscale, communicative achievement. The person got a 3, okay? So right in between the highest and the lowest. The conventions of essay writing are used well. See, it doesn't say exceptional, no, it used well, meaning good enough. There is a clear opening paragraph and a strong conclusion, which leaves no room for doubts as to where the money should go. How? Well, I use my sentence to prove what I just said, that the person had a strong conclusion. As far as I'm concerned, the most important facility that should receive investment from local authorities are the museums. The register, you remember what's register? Did you?
Yes,
What is register?
I think it's the level of formality.
Or informality used, exactly. The level of formality that suits a situation. So the register is consistently formal and the essay has an objective tone, giving opinions and providing supporting statements with evidence. The clear paragraphing helps to hold the target reader's attention and communicate both straightforward and more complex ideas in a logical manner. Okay, so here's the surprise. Maybe you say, wow, the teacher didn't read anything bad. No, I didn't. But I didn't read anything exceptional. I use adjectives like well, consistent, objective, but nothing amazed me to give this person a 4 or 5. Okay, so check, it doesn't have to have anything wrong. This person didn't, but not for a C1 level, maybe for a B2. Okay, subscale 3, organization. 3, the text is well organized and coherent and uses a variety of cohesive devices to generally good effect. Generally good effect. This is why the person got a 3. Check. The differences here in the rubrics is if it's general or outstanding, okay? The ideas are clearly introduced nowadays. On the other hand, moreover, for example, therefore, on the other hand, furthermore, all in all, check this person didn't use and, but, then. He tried to use better connectors. There is a mix of long and short sentences, and some of the shorter ones could benefit from being combined. This is punctuation, okay? Mix of long and short sentences. When it says some of them could benefit from being combined means you don't need 2 sentences. It's better if you combine them. Punctuation was wrong in a better way said. Organizational patterns are evident in the choice of language. For example, in the first paragraph, it is stated that many facilities could use money from local authorities. This then narrows to become cultural institutions should receive more money. And then the final sentence uses substitution to set out the main idea. But which ones should receive more money investment is open to debate. Okay, so the organization of sentences is what affected this person, and punctuation. Final subscale, language. This is vocabulary. This is probably one of the most important parts for your grade. And this is what is going to define if you're given a B2, a B2 plus, or a C1, okay? Check. There is a range of relevant vocabulary. Now, this is why the person got a 2. But this is not always used successfully to communicate full ideas. Take, for example, in a world where true values are not respected as they should be, it is important to remember what really matters. Although this is an appropriate tone and it's accurate, grammatically speaking, it has little relevance to the text as a whole and adds no extra information. A range of simple and some more, and some more complex grammatical structures is used with control. So why the person got a 2? Because this person was using very simple sentences and not complex, not complex grammatically speaking, not for a C1 level. However, there are a few word order and pronoun problems, such as it can be organized events, there can be built, okay? There are also errors with plurals and articles, but these do not impede communication. The most important facility are the museums. Afford to go to gym instead of to the gym. Exercises in open air, okay? So this is why I told you, because I'm sure you saw the mistakes because they are basic. So yes, there are mistakes because this was written by a student, okay? This is how your writings are evaluated, all right? Now, this is another writing for the same writing task, okay? Let's analyze this one. I believe this one got a better grade. Yes, this one got better, but not in content, but let's check. Okay, I'm going to need who? Armando, can you please read what the candidate wrote?
Yes. Facilities in need of funds. Having listened to today's radio's program about facilities that need financial help, I realized that the sports centers and public gardens have been neglected over the years by the local authorities. There are few sports centers out there that meet the right characteristics that a good sports center must have. This is one of the many reasons that people avoid sports. We see lots of kids nowadays suffering from obesity and other health problems caused by the simple fact that they don't do sport. Another reason for this is that people have nowhere to go out for a walk or to run in a nice place. Public gardens, parks, for example, are also lacking in numbers. The ones that are already, they are not very nice and they don't look very good. I think that by improving these two facilities, the population can benefit from this. By creating more sports centers, there will be some more jobs offered, and some kids might even follow a sport career. By making more public gardens, people can get out more often and spend more good quality time relaxing. I think that local authorities should invest money in both facilities because this is a good way to increase the population's health.
Excellent. Okay, now Let's analyze what the person wrote. Which one do you think was better, Arely? The first one or this one?
Well, I think that this use a
Sorry?
simpler vocabulary.
In this one?
I think that this one uses a more simple vocabulary.
Okay, let's see what they thought.
But
In language, the person got a little bit higher than the other, but let's analyze why, okay? In content, the person got less, okay? Check. It says content. All content is relevant to the task and the target reader is on the whole informed. The candidate has not made a final selection between the two facilities. However, he makes a relevant choice, namely to fund both facilities, and justifies this decision with evidence throughout the essay. This is one of the many reasons that people avoid sport. Another reason for this is that people have nowhere, blah, blah, blah. Check how important it is to make a final decision. It says all content was relevant and the candidate was whole informed, but the person got a 3. In the other, the person made a final decision and compared them, discussed them, and got a 5. See the difference? Communicative achievement, this person got higher here, the other one got 3. The conventions of essay writing are evident and the target reader's attention is held throughout. The opening statement sets up the context of the essay and the candidate chooses 2 facilities to discuss, park and sports center. The candidate links these 2 aspects throughout the essay, and this linking is effective in communicating more complex ideas which relate to both facilities. For example, sports centers and public gardens have been neglected over the years. People avoid sport. Another reason for this is that people have nowhere to go out for a walk. The arguments are backed up and supported with evidence, either from personal experience or from the input text. A consistent register is used, and the overall tone is suitable, persuasive, and objective. Check. The difference here was the arguments were backed up and supported with evidence of self-experience. This is why I mentioned before, if you don't have that experience, lie. They don't know. But it's always well seen to believe, oh, the person connected with this. This is just a tip I'm sharing with you, but we find this better, okay? And register the tone, suitable, persuasive, objective. Persuasive and objective means hedging language and diplomatic, okay? So it was not too direct like the previous one. That's why the person got a 4. Organization, the person got a 4, the other one got a 3. The text is well organized and coherent. Very subtle organization patterns and cohesive devices are used rather than overt linking words. For example, relative clauses, pronouns, substitution, and ellipses. For example, having listened to, I realized that. We see lots of kids nowadays suffering from obesity caused by. Another reason for this is the ones that are. Check. The person who checked, it's telling you, while the first student used a lot of cohesive devices and linking words like nowadays, on the other hand, moreover, for example, therefore, on the other hand, this person used higher grammar. This person connected with cohesive devices rather than just linking words, rather than only using connectors. They use relative clauses, pronouns, substitution, and ellipses. Some sentences are quite short and could have been connected to make the text more fluid at times. Public gardens, parks, for example, are also lacking in numbers. But the overall effect is good, okay? The same thing. The person needed to connect more the sentences. That's why the person didn't get a 5. And language. Check. There is a range of vocabulary in some less common lexis, less common. Some words that are more, let's say, from a higher level, which is collocated appropriately. What words? neglected over the years, suffering from obesity, the simple fact that lacking in numbers follow a sports career and quality time. This tells me the person has a better domain of vocabulary, okay? There is also a range of simple and more complex grammatical structures. Again, still simple, used with control. Although there is slight awareness in places and few errors, these do not cause the reader difficulty. That meet the right characteristics that a good sports center must have. And here's an example of a mistake. All right, a final one. Final one, this person look at the grades. Amazing grades. I want you to check the difference, okay? All right, who's missing in reading? Mildred, can you please help us reading?
Yes. In regard of a recent discussion about the facilities, which are financially supported by local authorities, I would like to write a few of my personal thoughts. Whether we are talking about sports centers or public gardens, there is no doubt that they are both a good thing to have in the city and should both be supported somehow. The only question then is which of these is more important? What are the pros and cons of each one? Let me start with the sports centers, as I think these are a bit more problematic. Obviously, in our times where lots of people spend days sitting on their offices, sitting at a computer, some sort of physical training is very important. We have to balance that shift in our lifestyles. The problem I see with supporting the sports center is the number of activities that you can do at these days. There is almost countless lists of either individual or team sports that we can think of, and each center is usually designed for a specific type of at least a group or a sport similar in its nature. Therefore, I think that it is too difficult to support them equally, and we can't say which activity is better than the others either. Another reason for not financing sports as much as Green Park is their commercial use. What I mean by that is that we usually pay for everything the center offers us to do, and therefore they are more able to last from their own money than gardens. Regarding of the green spaces, the situation is much clearer, I think. Every city needs garden where people can sit and relax, but nobody is going to pay a tax for just walking around. This factor lead me to my conclusion that the public gardens are definitely a facility which should be financed from public money, whereas in the case of a sports centers, the situation is questionable.
Excellent, excellent. Did you find any differences in the writing?
Yes.
Yes, the structure is more formal, the vocabulary is more formal.
Okay.
And it gives from an idea they took from another parts. So he links several ideas to discuss or to give his opinion.
And I think it's really easy to decide if you were the evaluator, which candidate would get a higher grade, A, B, or C?
C, definitely.
Right, definitely. I mean, you're not evaluators, but you discern that from the use of vocabulary, from the grammar you see, from, I mean, the words are not as common, okay? Not just the words, but the grammar. This is why we're looking at relative pronouns. We're looking at grammar on Saturdays because I need you to use that heavy grammar here, okay? So we polish your grammar because you want to shine in the writings, okay? Now let's see the grades. Content, 5. All content is relevant to the task and the target reader would be fully informed. The candidate discusses 2 of the options, sports centers and green spaces. Although the essay is slightly unbalanced, focusing mainly on sports centers. So if you choose 2 to discuss, try to have a balance. It says, although it's a little unbalanced, this is justified in the essay. Let me start with the sports centers, as I think these are a bit more problematic. Likewise, the brief treatment of parks is explained, and what follows is enough to inform the reader fully. Regarding of the green spaces, the situation is much clearer. So the person got a 5 because everything was relevant. Okay, communicative achievement. The conventions of the communicative task are used effectively. See, the use of the word effectively immediately makes you think of a higher mark. Holding the target reader's attention with ease. So it was easy for the person who read. The register and tone are consistent and the language choices are sufficiently formal and appropriate throughout, particularly the opening and closing paragraphs. The only question then is, which of these is more important? What are the pros and cons of each one? This is the example sentence. These factors lead me to my conclusion. There is a lot of personal opinion rather than objective opinion based on a generally assumed view. I would like to write a few of my personal thoughts. I think these are the problem, C, but straightforward and more complex ideas are nevertheless communicated. Okay, so again, you see, we value personal opinion. A more objective approach would have been more suited to this task, which is to discuss the idea in general terms rather than in the candidate's own experience. So you want to find a balance, even though personal experience is well seen, as in the previous one, here there was no balance, just personal, no facts. If the person would have included more facts, the person would have gotten a 5, which is the highest. Organization. 4, the essay is well organized and coherent, and the different ideas are clearly signposted throughout. How? With expressions like, let me start with, therefore, another reason regarding. I'm reading this so that you know what you can use. Okay, so if I were you, I would be taking notes of, let me start with, therefore, another reason, because you're going to
Let me start with, sorry, teacher, let me start with, it's not formal or informal, it's more informal, right? No.
It's not informal, it's like cash, let's say in the middle.
Okay.
The target reader can easily follow the argument. The paragraphs are internally well constructed and are linked together appropriately. In terms of organizational patterns, the overall effect is generally good, rather than good throughout, due to the imbalance of length between the second and third paragraph. So at the end, it justifies what the person didn't get a 5. But the organization is not just well organized, with the wording used, it was easy to follow the argument, okay? Finally, language. A range of vocabulary, including less common lexis or less common vocabulary, is used effectively, although not always precisely, okay? That's why the person didn't get a 5. Example, we have to balance that shift in our lifestyles. A wide range of simple and complex grammatical forms is used with control and flexibility, particularly in terms of sentence construction. Obviously, in our times where lots of people spend days sitting in their office staring at the computer, some sort of physical training is very important. Although there are occasional errors, these are often slips. Okay, so they are not mistakes, they are slips, and they do not impede communication. Example, you can do at these days. There is almost countless list. So this person probably got the C1 at least in writing, okay? Because the grades were good. As you can see, the person still made mistakes in grammar, in vocabulary, but the marking was good, okay? This kind of essay is what it's needed from you.
I have a doubt.
Yes.
What do they mean by unbalanced? I don't understand why this writing could be unbalanced? In what sense?
Because the person chooses two options, sports centers and green spaces. So if you go back to the lines, they believe they spend more time talking about sports,
Oh,
and little on green spaces. But,
so
the person says, although it's slightly, it means a little unbalanced, just a little. But it says, although it was a little imbalanced, it is justified. Why? Because the person said, let me start with sports centers, as I think these are a bit more problematic. So if I were checking, I would say, yes, it was a little bit unbalanced, but because he's saying these are more problematic, so he has to talk more about this. So at the end, it was okay because he justified this. Okay.
Okay, because, well, I did my writing, and in this precise exercise where you have to write about which facility received more money, I concentrate, or I focus more in one, only one. I mentioned two, yes, but I wrote a little more about only one because I understood, and I think this is another important thing, not to read carefully the instructions, because I thought that I had to decide only on one, which one is the most important. And I mentioned two, but I concentrate a little more only on one.
Let me interrupt you. It's okay. Remember the writing one? The person chose one. And the person got a 5. So you have, the instruction says to choose one. The person got a 5 here. This is the number 1. Look, candidate A, the person got a 5, and it says, chooses one of them, museums, and the final decision is made in the final paragraph. As long as you concentrate on the task, you can get a 5. If you discuss too, if you make that decision, it's going to be a little bit more complicated because you have to find a balance and decide at the end. Okay, so the people that get to talk about have more job to be done. They talk about both, and at the end they made a decision. For example, here he was talking about two, and he made a decision in the final paragraph. My conclusion that the public gardens are definitely okay. So whichever you decide, Alma, you can concentrate on one, and you can still get a 5. Or concentrate on 2. In my opinion, if you concentrate on 2, maybe you say I have more to write about, maybe, but you have, let's say it's a little bit harder because you need that balance and a decision at the end. But as you wish, you have 2 options.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. The reason why I decided to show you this, it's because sometimes we learn better when we see it. Okay, so I wanted you to see what other people have written, and I think it was a success because you were able to identify the language in number 3 was way better than the other used. So now you have a clear idea. Now you have a clear idea on what they check from you. Okay. All right, so hopefully you took pictures. If not, I can send them later to the group because I believe you can use, for example, in organization, you can use words or expressions that they were giving us here, okay? All right, excellent. Now, this is what I want to do. Instead of continuing with extra grammar topics from the book, let's practice what we were lacking of, which is vocabulary, okay? So I'm going to practice, oh, sorry, wait, my computer, the battery. A second. So the idea is not to give you another mock exam anymore. No, okay, because this is a practice. This is not going to be a session for a test. So Leti, Bere, many of you mentioned we need the vocabulary. Okay, so let's practice vocabulary, learn it, and then do it in mock exam activities, Okay, this is what we're going to do. So here we have vocabulary we're going to be using, okay? So I want you better to please read these vocabulary words and then we discuss and check what we know, okay? Better, can you please?
Yes, Miss. Expose, perceive, guess, realize, operating, developing, working, progressing, count, rank, value, measure, creating, locating, observing, building, put up, take over, pull off, set back, unreasonable, disturbing, irregular, impossible, intrudes, invades, interrupts, forces, searched, supervised, monitored, and handled.
Handled, exactly. Okay, thank you. Now,
Thanks,
what words are new for you? What words are difficult or we don't get the meaning?
Setback, hold off, the phrasal.
The phrasal verbs, okay. Oh, remember, I also sent you a book of phrasal verbs, if you have the chance. Okay, setback. Does anyone have an idea what is the meaning of setback? Okay, setback means in Spanish, complicar, obstaculizar. Okay, if it's about a schedule, because you know, English doesn't have a lot of vocabulary. And since it doesn't have a lot of vocabulary, one word has different meanings. Okay, so setback, for example, I can say, it really set me back as a professionist. It really set me back when I lost my job. What am I saying? It really set me back when I lost my job. Let me put it on the chat.
That you are getting in trouble?
Could you repeat the meaning, Miss, please? Sit back.
Yes, it has different meanings. Complicar, obstaculizar, posponer, if it's about a schedule, you need to check the context, retrasar, okay? Now check the sentence on the chat. It really set me back when I lost my job. What am I saying here?
That it caused you too much complications, problems.
Okay. Say it in Spanish. Say this sentence in Spanish to see if you're using the correct meaning of setback. How would it be? Maybe not a literal translation, but the interpretation in Spanish.
Me complica la vida.
Okay, me complicó la vida perder mi trabajo. All right, yes. Any other idea? Imagine this.
Me obstaculizó.
Me obstaculizó. Perder el trabajo me obstaculizó. O perder el trabajo me complicó muchísimo. Perder el trabajo obstaculizó mi carrera. If we're talking about professional. Okay, that's the interpretation. Si quieren algo más literal, realmente me atrasó o me atrasé cuando perdí mi trabajo. But translation is not as effective as interpretation. I'm translating the words, but it's better to interpret. If I make an interpretation of this, it would be, perder el trabajo me complicó o me obstaculizó muchísimo.
For example, that you got in trouble when you lost your job.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Setback can also mean when it talks about schedule, okay? When it talks about a schedule on the reading, has a different meaning, which is posponer. Let me write another example here. Capital letter. Okay, we can set the appointment back a few days if you can make it tomorrow. Here, means posponer. Okay, remember the meaning, obstaculizar, complicar, retrasar, and here, posponer. So remember, when it talks about a schedule, we can set the appointment back a few days if you can make it tomorrow. Podemos retrasar o posponer la cita unos días if you can make it tomorrow. Okay, it's clear?
Teacher,
Yes.
as I remember, put off, it's postpone. So it's a
Put off?
synonym.
Yes, put off. It means postpone. Yeah, yes, it would be a synonym. Mhm.
Okay, because I can say I put off my meeting because of personal issues, no? Or,
Yes, we could say we can put off the meeting a few days. Yeah, it's a synonym.
but
Means
but it doesn't matter if I use setback or put off, or it depends on the context.
no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a synonym. I'm using put off. I'm using setback here because we're going to use it in an activity. But before I want to pre-teach.
Okay.
vocabulary. Okay.
Okay,
It's
thank
more aggressive. It's more aggressive. We jump directly to activity. We need to work on vocabulary. Okay, let's do this. Let's work, and then we put it into practice. Okay.
Okay.
What else? What other word?
Hold off.
Hold. Where is that word?
Hold off between takeover and setback.
Ah, okay, okay. Hold off. Hold off. Do you guys have any idea what is the meaning? No? Okay, hold off. Different meanings. If you write it. Okay. For example, let me write this on the chat. I hope the rain holds up until we get home. Hold off literally means aguantarse, demorarse. In the case of bad weather, demorarse o aguantar. I hope the rain holds off until we get home. Espero que se demore o se aguante hasta que lleguemos a casa. Then it starts raining. Okay. It also means demorarse en hacer algo. Let me give you another example. Please hold off playing the drums until after I've gone. It means, ay,
It's
demora.
like abstenerse.
Yeah, well, postergar hacer algo o demorar en hacer algo.
I thought about, por favor, abstente de hacer esto, o
A little bit different. It would be like, por favor, demora en tocar la batería que me vaya. O
espera,
postérgalo.
no lo hagas hasta, ajá, postérgalo hasta que me vaya.
Postergar would be. Okay. Another meaning of hold off means frenar. Please, it's convenient you write down these meanings. Okay, let me write another example.
What was the last meaning, Miss?
Demorar.
Thank you.
Mhm.
No, yeah, demorar, aguantar, postergar, and you mentioned another?
Frenar.
Frenar. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, now check this sentence. The soldiers managed to hold off the attacking forces for 3 days. Here it means frenar. Okay. That's hold off. Okay, guys, is it clear? The best way, and I believe the best suggestion I can give you to, sorry. to practice vocabulary, to learn vocabulary and to memorize it, it's going to be put it into practice. It doesn't really matter if I give you lists or if I give you lists of vocabulary or if I tell you now example definition, if after the class you close the notebook and that's it. Letty once said, and this is the way I learned too, so I share it with her. When I see a new word, I try to use it in a sentence. So that's my case. When I learn, because you never stop learning. When I learn a new word, I use it in my head like a crazy person. I want to use it. So I'm using it in my head. I write it in any post-it, whatever not. And whenever I have the chance to use it in a real life conversation, I put it there, but it's there, stuck. If you use it, and this is proved scientifically, you create like an image of that word in your brain. And the scientists say that we learn with images. So you're creating like a printing of the word, and it's harder for you to forget. Okay, so these words, make it your purpose to use them during the week. Okay, the ones you learn. All right, any other word? Do we know the meaning of yours? Sorry?
Intrudes.
Intrudes.
Enemies, no? No. It's
Intrude.
no.
Okay, maybe if you say intruders, but here it's as a verb, right? If we say intruder,
Oh.
would be intruso,
It is
not
a-
enemy, intruso, intrusa.
Okay.
But the verb, it's intrude, that's why it has an S. Intrude, or intrudes in third person means meterse. In you know, uninvited to a property. Meterse, colarse. Okay, let me give you an example.
Invade.
Okay, so as a verb is meterse, and as a noun or intrusos?
As a noun, intruders.
Intruders. Uh-huh.
Intruders. That's a pronunciation, intruders.
Intruders. I'm just
With adding an R, no? Intruders.
Yes, intrude, ER, intruders.
Intruders.
Pronounce intruders, the D is very soft.
Okay.
Let me write the example. Exactly, Arely, intruders. Okay, check my sentence example. It looks like moles have been intruding here again. You know what is moles? Moles means lunares, but also means topos. Topos, the animals. Okay, it looks like moles have been intruding here again. Okay, se han estado metiendo, se han estado colando. Okay, if it's about a person, we can say entrometerse, intrudes, entrometerse. If it's an animal, meterse, right? Person, entrometerse, mind someone else's business, okay, meterse. All right.
Okay.
Teacher, can you give us an example of put up?
Put up.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes. Just are we done with intrudes? Do we understand this word?
Yes, miss.
Yes, perfect. Okay, you were saying, Arely, put up. Where's put up?
In the 5th line, the first word.
2, 3, 4.
Put up.
I haven't seen put up.
Above
Yes. Okay. The
reasonable.
first one, yes, put up. Okay. Yes, sorry, didn't see it. So put up. Okay, again, phrasal verb. Let me write an example on the chat. Here, put up.
You say put up.
Put
When
up.
you say put up with.
Okay, yes, put up with is different. So put up has many meanings, guys. Okay, put up means to mount or to display. It means colgar. Okay, let me put it here on the chat. Put up, to mount, or to display. In Spanish, colgar. Here's an example. He put up a picture for visitors to see. El colgó. Okay. To mount or display. Okay. Now, another meaning, put up also means raise. Okay. For example, this is what we usually tell the student. Put up your
Put up
hand
your hand?
if you know the answer.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yes.
Put up your
Put up
hands.
your
Instead of
hand.
saying raise your hand.
Exactly, put up your hand. Okay. If you said, I'm going to give you different meanings because it depends on the context. Okay, just remember, practice this vocabulary.
Is my example correct?
My cousin used to put up Leo DiCaprio's posters. Yes, display. Mhm.
Put them in a wall, for example, right?
Exactly, on the wall. Now another meaning, but check, this is different. If you find on the exam or on the next activity, put somebody up, okay, put a person up, put her up, put my sister up, put my cousin up, means to accommodate. This means hospedar o alojar a alguien. Okay. Here's an example.
And if you are the guest, you can use it too.
Can you put me up? Yes. Mhm.
But I was put
I was put up, exactly.
Eso es,
Yes.
I was put up.
No, it is
in my
not
sister's
necessary to
house.
write that somebody between put and up. It
No.
could be about the idea. I was put up
Exactly.
in a very luxurious hotel. Okay.
But
thank
you're
you.
talking about a person.
A person, all right.
Exactly.
got it.
When you say it that way, it means your company paid, the SEP pays for a very expensive hotel. That would never happen, but yes.
Okay.
All right, now check my example. Imagine I live in London and you're visiting. I could say, hey, we would be happy to put you up when you next come to London to accommodate you, okay? All right, those are the meanings. Put up with is different. If you want, we can also check put up with. Let me put it here. Put up with. The difference is this with, okay? This means tolerate. In Spanish, tolerar, aguantar, soportar. If you have kids, you will totally understand this sentence. When you tell your kids, okay, it's time, go to bed, they start, oh no, but I'm not sleepy, oh, but it's not late, etc. And with this voice, like very squeaky, that is called whining. So you can say, I will not put up with your whining anymore. Go to bed this minute. Okay? Use it with your kids this week. So you remember. But this is put up with your whining, put up with your attitude, put up with your complaints, put up with your temper. Okay?
Could be the same as can stand or is
Yes.
different?
Well, can stand, cannot tolerate. It's very similar.
Okay.
Okay, guys?
Yes, miss.
Excellent. So any other word or are we ready for the activity? What do you think? Ismael, you're so quiet. Do you have a question in any other word? Armando, any other word? Or is it okay? Excellent. So study phrasal verbs. Okay, the majority of the questions were phrasal verbs. So this is what we're going to do. Another for real previous exam activity using this vocabulary. So in this occasion, it's not a test. So before throwing you to the walls, I wanted to check with you meanings. This means you will be able to do better, okay? Now, last time you told me the reading was, the letters were small. So I tried to make it bigger, but I cannot fit in one slide. So these are the answers. Can you please take a picture on your cell phone of the answers so that then I go back? And on a piece of paper, please write 1 to 8 and just 1A, 2B, 3C, etc. Okay? Tell me when you're ready to go to the activity.
Ready, Miss.
Perfect. Everybody ready? Yes, because you guys have your cameras off. I don't see your expressions. Are you ready?
Yes, yes, teacher.
Why are you being like your students are with you, with me? Why do you turn off the cameras? Just why?
It's because I'm having some issues. On the
Now you
internet.
understand the student. No, don't worry about it.
Yes.
Your issues, it's okay.
But I
So-
fix it in the break and I promise I'll turn it up.
All right, no cheating, no dictionaries. Don't turn off the cameras conveniently. Okay, you have the picture, right? Okay, number your paper 1 to 8. All right, this is taken from a real past CAE exam. So it's almost what you will be facing, okay? Read the instructions carefully. Tell me when you're done. And we check. Oh, I didn't take my picture. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Need my picture too. Okay. There. Are you done?
Not yet.
No, miss, a minute.
Not yet, teacher.
All right.
I'm done, teacher.
All right, Daniel, let's just give your partner some minutes. Okay, I'm just waiting for 3 people. Ismael, can you please tell us when you're done? Ismael, can we continue? Okay, perfect. Now, let's check then, guys, okay? I think it's good because this is not a test, okay? What's your opinion? I don't want to hurt sensibilities. Can we check it all together? Yes?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, then you tell me 8 of 8, 2 of 8, etc. Okay. Number 1. What's your answer for number 1?
B.
B is correct.
Perceive.
Letter B.
Letter B. If you want, then we check why. Okay. Number 1, B. Number 2, B as in
B.
book.
Developing.
B.
I don't have them here. B developing, yes. Number 3, D as in
D.
dentist.
Measure.
Mhm. Number 4.
Miss, I have a doubt about that. I choose value because measure is something that you can physically size, isn't it?
No, you can
Mhm.
measure also things that you cannot touch or you cannot see. Like we can measure light, we can measure cold, we can measure hot. Not things.
Well, is that in physics? I said
But
that.
those are physically, no?
Yeah. Well, everything that we can measure
Mhm.
is a magnitude, but the feelings or the way we feel is something that we cannot represent with a number. I don't know if you understand
Okay, let me see the options. You see number 3, right?
the value, because a feeling isn't something that we can express numerically. So I said it might be value then.
Okay. What's the
But
meaning
in this
of
case,
value?
Value, evaluar, that might be assessed also.
Value.
valorar,
means Valorar.
Es como valorar ahí, ¿no?
Valor.
no?
Ajá.
Yes, right?
Valorar,
And-
apreciar,
Exactly.
valor. So it doesn't really fit this one. Like I understand what you're saying now.
Okay.
I understand the idea, but remember, in these kind of exams, sometimes you have to go like, you can
Okay.
use count or
Okay.
rank. Value, it's more for other things. So measure would be the better option.
Value are things
I
that
have
we
a doubt.
appreciate.
Yes, Arely?
I have a doubt in that. In number 3, I wrote measure because of the word accurately.
Accurate
I think that, yes, I think that it was
it's a collocation.
like a collocation. That's right.
Mhm. So in number 3, as we said, the answer was D and was measure. And this is what it's going to help you, collocations. Normally when we say accurately, we can use measure there, accurately measure. Okay, now also check. I know what you're saying. We cannot measure feelings, but here they're talking about gadgets and emotional intelligence. They are saying they're creating a software with special sensors.
Okay.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the same with the first example, but we cannot say that that an electronic device can realize about something.
But
In
you
the
know
first
what?
one.
I remember I saw a TED talk.
But the question, the answer is perceive.
Yeah. That's why I didn't choose realize, because machines cannot realize.
Ah,
They sense, they measure, exactly. Maybe that's what that's why I should have chosen measure instead of
Let me give
the
you a
other one,
suggestion.
because machines measure, not value.
Let me give you a suggestion. Don't get too technical in this, because
Okay.
when we overthink, sometimes we get the question wrong because we're overthinking. Believe me, it happens.
Okay.
Did you study physics or something as a career?
I'm physics teacher.
That's why. That's
Yeah.
why you're trying to read between the lines.
Yeah, I'm overthinking.
This is talking about technology and gadgets, and believe me, there are many crazy things right now. I remember I saw a TED talk that says they were able to measure how the people was feeling, if they were feeling nervous. Even lie detectors feel that. They measure somehow. So don't read between the lines.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I will try
Don't
not
worry,
to
don't
do it
worry.
again.
Don't worry, it's just a suggestion. All right. Number 4. Oh, somebody's raising hands. No. Do you have questions or no? Okay. Number 4, it's D, as in dentist. Yes. Number 5 is C, as in calendar.
Hold up. Yes.
Sorry?
Hold up.
Number 5, let me see. Hold off, yes.
Go.
Number 6 is B, as in book. Number 7 is A, as in airplane. And number 8 is C, as in calendar. Okay. Alma, how many out of 5? Out of 8, sorry.
7.
7 out of 8. Okay, good, very good. Letty. 7. Armando. 5. Okay, Areli. 5. Daniel.
5, but I have a question with the 7. I'm sorry.
No,
Because
that's okay. That's why we're practicing. 7.
I choose B, intruding, because I choose invading.
Invades.
Yeah, invading. Yeah, why? Because intruding is when someone gets into something with no invitation. But invading is when they do it by the force, no? With no permission. I mean, a country invading other country, it's like taking over, controlling something by the force. And that's what I thought this kind of technology will do with our lives.
I don't know if I gave you an example, but I remember I
Invading.
mentioned when we say in truth, it can be like the example with the moles, meterse, colarse. But we said, if is about a person, we can say entrometerse, inmiscuirse, right? I said
Okay.
uninvited. So this also means uninvited. It intrudes into yet another part of our lives. Invades, as you said, it's more invading territory or invading something else. It's
Okay.
bigger than that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Miss.
You're
Teacher,
welcome.
in the last one, I put handled, but you said that it's monitored, right?
Monitored, and last one we said it was C, handle and monitor. Let's see. Into yet another part of our lives, which are already being closely. Yes.
Monitor, it's like
Monitor.
it's watching, it's
Like the big brother, it's watching, it's observing.
it's and handle is that manage
You manage with your
completely
They already have
manage
the control. If you say
Yes.
handle, they already have the control. Here they're just observing.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Constanza, how many? Constanza, are you there? Maybe Constanza's busy. Bere, how many?
6 needs.
6.
But I have a doubt in
Yes.
the number 4.
Number
you
4.
s- You said that the answer was building.
Number 4, let me go. 4. Building, What did you have?
And no, I wrote creating.
Creating. Okay, number 4. Another project is looking at creating emotional detection into GPS car navigation devices.
Because I think building is something that you have to build. I don't know. It's more for
In English,
buildings.
To
in English,
construct,
No, in English it's just differently. Actually, if you have checked, I always say building vocabulary, or in this part is for building up vocabulary. We use it when we're talking about something you have to
Develop.
Mhm. Creating is more,
Increase? Oh, okay.
yes, creating would be more, how can I say the difference? Like, yeah, like something you create with our hands, but building,
Did you invent?
you invent it up, you make it up. Mhm.
So in building, you invent,
You
And
invent
in-
something.
create.
And also, better a suggestion, building is used a lot in gadgets and in inventions. They use a lot the word building.
Okay, Miss.
Yes. Right. Excellent. Okay, Constanza, you said 4. Okay, Constanza, do you have any questions with any of the words? I cannot hear you. I mean, your name is lighting up as if you were talking, but I don't hear anything. Constanza?
She says in the chat that she has trouble with
She
her.
has troubles.
Oh, okay. I have some, like Daniel, I guess, Which one, Constanza? Maybe you can write or is it the same as Daniel? So was he already answered?
I just have 4.
Maybe it was the same as Daniel. Or do you have another question, Constanza, or your questions were already answered in the explanations? All right. Now, guys, I already answered. Okay. Now, you were supposed to have your break and we were doing the activity and the explanation. Okay, so let's have it now and then we continue with more vocabulary activities. Okay, question.
Yes.
Was it better to explain the vocabulary before and then do the activity? Yes? All right.
Yeah, of course.
The objective. All right, so it's 11:15. It means 25, 35. I'll see you back at 11:45, okay?
Yes, Miss.
Enjoy your meal. Enjoy.
Thank you, Miss. See you.